do anymore. So we're going to have to go ahead and
Well, that's good. Maybe move the
can you go
water a
ahead?
bit.
We're like
Yes,
live. We're
yes,
starting
yes.
already? Woo! All right. Welcome to Good Medicine Way's annual Remembrance Gathering. This is our dinner commemorating the different struggles in Native Americans' common experience, and also the practice or ability to gain resilience and strength going forward from this. Since we don't have a ceremonial fire, the lighting of this candle is reminding us of that. And as it's being done by a woman, it draws attention to the idea that a community knows itself through the women of the community. Smudge with tobacco now, talking about our intentions tonight. To focus on the Native experience as though we, whether we're Native or not, are remembering these things. And now we're smudging with sage, which is asking for purification and setting aside the night as a special night. And our elder will opening the gathering with prayers.
Welcome everyone. Pastor Casey Church, pastor of Good Medicine Way here, now going on for 5 years now. We've been meeting and doing this ceremony. It's been growing and growing, not only with us just meeting, but if you can see it from this end, I think Preston will show you, we have all of you on our Zoom format. You're part of our circle, you're part of our ceremony, and I think many of you are ready to share in food as well in ceremony with us too. So I'm going to open this up with prayer as we get ready to do our remembrance dinner. Father, we thank you so much for this time together, all the work and all the preparation that goes into it, all of those that are helping us on Zoom and other means. Thank you for the leadership here that has pulled this together, our music team that is going to sing for us, and all the guests that are here. We are blessing on everyone. And as we go into this time of remembrance, we know that the Native people have had struggles and challenges and many atrocities and traumas throughout our history with colonization, with settlers that many of us still have things in our memories, in our families that need to deal with. We pray that you will help us lead towards wholeness with this ceremony here, and that God's healing touch will come not only into our hearts and minds, but into our families and our extended families so that we can share in healing. So as we move forward in this, we thank you for bringing us all together, all the preparation that took place. And we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. And now we go to our song with Brian and Leah. We'll be singing a song by Jonathan Miracle called Gana Rumqua.
I'm doing like 12 things at the same time.
And as many of you probably know, maybe some of them don't, Ganarunqua is a Mohawk word that means I love you. So it's a song that says when Creator is saying I love you to us, or when we're living I love you to others, that is a great medicine. Oh.
Daka, if you are ready, as soon as you come on screen here, you can read your portion.
From your pitchers of water, in this case I have this, you can pour yourselves about an inch of water and we'll drink together.
That's what teachers are.
Four.
Yeah, just about like an inch.
Yeah.
Hold on. Wait.
Yes.
This is the first cup, the cup of purification. We'll drink together to signify the sacredness of our ceremony. Now, we look to the plate with 3 pieces of fry bread or tortillas. They represent Father Sky, Creator, the people, and Mother Earth. The bread of the people, which is the middle one, I'll break in 2 pieces on my plate. I am taking half of the middle piece, wrapping it in linen, and hiding it to represent how we have left the beauty way and lost kinship with Mother Earth and Father Sky. Okay. Everyone, I've already hidden it. I'm sorry, I didn't do that last part. No. Okay. At the end of the gathering, Kisa will look for it. Now we will have the youngest person read the 4 questions. Come here, Beth. Come here. Say it loud, okay? So, she said, why do we treat the fry bread special tonight? What's next?
Right. Representing Father Sky, the people, and Mother Earth. When the fry bread pieces are all together, it reminds us of a time before colonizers, oppression, and when natives' lives were more healed and harmonious. And when the second piece, the bread piece of the people, was broken and hidden away. This symbolized how a lot of harmony and wholeness has been taken away by the oppressors.
So why do we? Okay, listen up. Sure. All right. He said, why do we have to eat green chili directly tonight?
Green chili, especially when it's extra spicy, can bring tears to the eye, and that reminds us of the bitterness of oppression, forced assimilation, and these different trickle-down effects of colonization.
Papa. Say why. She said, why do we eat blue corn mush by itself tonight?
Blue corn mush is representing heritage and how our trials, challenges, and suffering can be redeemed to build character into something stronger. When we embrace our heritage and our past, we remember who we are.
Go ahead. Why? You all are together to share tonight. So why do we all gather together to share a meal tonight?
So the purpose of this remembrance dinner is to hear together the bad things that have happened, but also how we can now want to go forward and build strength and healing. This ends the 4 questions.
Now everyone can tear a piece of fry bread off of the fry bread plate. The piece you tear off can be about the size of a couple of postage stamps. So I have my Nana Scotty here. Use it to dip in about a teaspoon of blue mush. Now, I'm an urban Indian long far away from the reservation, so I don't have blue corn mush. I have blue corn flour pancake mix. We're contextualizing here. Dip it in the mush and you can eat it, and I will explain. So everyone, dip it in your mush, eat it. And I will explain it. The blue mush represents our heritage and how our trials, challenges, and sufferings can be redeemed to build our character into something stronger.
Now we're going to pour ourselves out another inch of water. This is the second cup, the cup of remembrance. We won't drink together just now, but later on. Here we will integrate people's story of forced removal, relocation, smallpox blankets, wounded knee, standing rock, boarding school, murder and missing indigenous people, destruction of crops and buffalo, the doctrine of discovery, bombing of villages in Alaska in World War II, over 500 broken treaties, forced dependence and removal of self-determination, corrupted missionaries, forced assimilation, and other oppressions on my native peoples.
All right, well, I've contacted a few of us to tell some stories relevant to their personal traditions. So Casey, if you'd like to go first.
All right. I'm Casey Church. I'm going to tell just a short story of the Potawatomi people in Michigan and the South Bend, Indiana area where I come from. In the 1830s, around the year 1833, The land in Michigan was slowly being ceded and taken over by the settlers. The native people were pushed further and further away from their homeland, and at one time, the army came in and gathered up all the native people and put them in stockade in Battle Creek, Michigan. And then when they had thought they had gathered many of the native people, they forced marched them on a trail called the Trail of Death. They marched from South Bend, Indiana area to Iowa, and then from Iowa south, they crossed the Mississippi, and they marched them further south to Kansas, and then on into Oklahoma. So they were uprooted from their homeland, having to leave everything behind. In my particular story with me is that my tribe leader, Leopold Pokagan, had enough resolve and foresight that he told several family groups that if we play the game and we pretend that we're assimilating, we send our kids to school, we go to church, we start dressing and stop doing our ceremonies, and we start farming and sending our kids to school, that's what we need to do. And then that will show that we're, becoming, quote, civilized. And in conjunction with that, he went to Detroit and talked to the Catholic diocese and asked for a Catholic priest to come into their community. And with that, he was able to save several families from being relocated to Kansas on the Trail of Death. And my family's heritage name was Pokagan. And over the years, as more assimilation took place, many of the people changed their name to assimilate even better, because to live in a world where your name is Pokagan didn't fly. So they changed their name to Stevens so that they would blend better into the world around them that was changing, and also to help the families raise their kids so that they would not have the same problems that they had. So that's a little bit of the story that I'd like to share of our relocation of our people and the struggles that we had.
Thank you, Casey. Did you have a story, Preston?
Is this?
This is, yeah, just like maybe about the long walk or anything. Would you tell a story about? Or the bombing of the Alaskan villages. Yeah.
So I'm not a part of this tribe, but it's part of the Tlingit tribes of Southeast Alaska. So if you take your thing, it's here in this part of area of Southeast Alaska, and so they had a really bad bombing of. I don't know, I forgot who the country was, but they bombed all these tribes, and they had all losing all their traditional homes and these little tiny huts. So there's our remnants of that. Still to this day, you can actually find broken glass. You can find missing cookware. So it's pretty interesting how all these people are very hurtful from this moment, but they're trying to recover from that moment still.
Right, thank you. Rashawn, did you have a story?
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear me. You guys can hear me? Yeah, so hello everybody. My name is Rashawn Ramon, and so I'll be able to introduce myself. Yat Eon School Share Rashawn Ramon is here. Don't in Chiniki Stone, the Kedin Pachin, Twitch in the Chet, Catching the Chanale, which Ela to the Nehiskin. So once the story will be about the long walk, and so it's so I'm from the Eastern Agency of the Navajo Nation, and the interesting part about the Navajo the Navajo Long Walk, which, and also in Navajo, I always try to pronounce pronounce it, but Ejuede, that's what they call it. And I guess like from the stories I got to hear more about that is that I guess it was like considered a bad like an omen of that word. And so the long walk started in 1864 to well, like they started walking and they were all gathered, and then they were befriended with Kit Carson. Well, Kit Carson was the one that actually like was one of those Indian agents that got to be able to befriend with the Navajos, with the Net people. And yeah, he was like truly a friend. And I guess like I feel like maybe some tribes would have that Indian agent that would be able to communicate well with natives. So we had Kit Carson, and so during that time, he was ordered to be able to gather all the Navajos to be able to well to like gather them, kill their one of the stories I got to hear about this was that it started in Canyon de Chelly, and how it got people like US Army and Carson got to be able to kill all their food source and through like their crops and livestock. And yeah, and he gathered people all over well, around the area, because I was like actually like from like the kind of like the heart of the heart of the now well, it wasn't called reservation back then, but it was more of like the homeland. And how yeah, so it started, well, they started walking from Fort Defiance, Arizona, which it's funny, I was born in Fort Defiance, Arizona. And they walked from I think over 400 miles from Fort Defiance, Arizona, and also part of it was Wingate and New Mexico, and all the way to Fort Sumner. And yeah, like so a lot of people died. Well, they died along the way to walk through the rivers, through the Rio Grande rivers, and a few of them drowned, and a few of them couldn't be able to make it. Like some women and children and elders. And one of the things I got to be able to see more about this is that Chief Barnacito, was it? I got a quote to General Sherman, is that I hope to God you will not ask me to go to any country except my own. And there's more to that. There's more of like what within that story. But from my area, so I'm from Torreon, New Mexico, which is not Nijin. I got to hear stories of like when they came back. So like a few of the Navajos on the New Mexico side didn't actually went to the long walk. But most of them in Arizona, like some of them did, but there's stories of like how some of them didn't and some of them went there. And yeah, so like half of my side of my family didn't went, and then others went. And so that area of my I guess if I get to hear stories of the area of that side of where I grew up, I think that's where like a lot of changes happened, to where like a lot of like ceremonies was developing, a lot of prayers was being done, and just a new way of like how to be different, how to be able to continue, I guess, like start over, but also to be who you are. So yeah, I mean, I just got to share this briefly, but is this a lot of things that was hurtful, but at the same time, like we would have been along with the other tribes in Oklahoma too, without like the prayers and ceremonies, our ancestors that have done that, we went back to our homeland. And yeah, so I just want to share about that. Thank you.
Charles?
Well, thank you. Yate, Mark Charles, Yinishia. Sinbake Dinan Nishle, the Tohi Glini Bashichin. Sinbake Dinan Dashache to the Chini Dashanella. I'm speaking to you from what's now called Washington, D.C., but I'm actually in the traditional land of the Piscataway. And I want to honor the Piscataway as the host of the land where I'm living and thank them for their stewardship of these lands. There's been a lot of, as we've heard already from a few people in Alaska and Casey in the Midwest and Rashawn talking about the Southwest, there have been a lot of things going on around throughout the history of our nation, of treaties being broken and massacres taking place, and of incredible injustices being enacted against Native peoples. And on one hand, we all have heard these stories, and we've all heard that these things were happening to our people by the United States of America. But there's something that actually ties them all together, and that is known as what's called the doctrine of discovery. So the doctrine of discovery, it's a series of papal bulls, edicts of the Catholic Church. They say things like invade, search out, capture, vanquish, and subdue all Saracens and pagans whatsoever, reduce their persons to perpetual slavery, convert them to his and to their use and profit. It's essentially the church in Europe saying to the nations of Europe, wherever you go, whatever lands you find not ruled by white European Christian rulers, those people are subhuman and their lands are yours to take. This is the doctrine that let European nations go into Africa, colonize the continent, and enslave the people because they didn't see them as human. It's the same doctrine that let Columbus, who was literally lost at sea, land in what's now called the New World. It was already inhabited by millions, and yet they claim to have discovered it. Right? The only way you can do that is if you view the people living there as not fully human. So this doctrine of discovery, this dehumanizing doctrine, it gets embedded into the foundations of our nation, and it creates a dysfunctional theological imagination for this nation, which is what allowed it to claim a manifest destiny, right? A God-given right to claim, to conquer, to ethnically cleanse these lands from sea to shining sea. So when we look at how this dysfunctional theological imagination, this doctrine of discovery has been embedded into the imagination of this country so that they claim a manifest destiny, it creates a very troubling history, the worst of which is Abraham Lincoln, right? As Rashawn shared, the long walk in the Southwest was a horrible, horrible oppression of our people. 10,000 Navajo and Apache, men, women, and children, rounded up, marched down to Bosque Redondo. Hundreds of our people died of starvation and exposure along the route, and nearly a quarter of our people died while imprisoned in what could only be called a death camp. And yet that was only one of 4 massacres that took place under the presidency of Abraham Lincoln. You see, he was intent on helping this nation complete its manifest destiny. He signed a bill called the Pacific Railway Act and the Settlement Act, which allowed land to be allocated to people going west and settling the land, and allocated land and resources to the railroad companies to create the Transcontinental Railway. And after the hanging of the Dakota 38, the Dakota War of 1862, and the removal of the Dakota Winnebago from Minnesota. After the Bear River Massacre, which was the deadliest massacre in the history of this country, of the Shoshone in northern Utah and southern Idaho. After the long walk of the Navajo and the Mescalero Apache in the Southwest. And after the massacre of the Cheyenne and Arapaho in eastern Colorado. Abraham Lincoln had essentially ethnically cleansed the northern, central, and southern routes of the Transcontinental Railway. Now, he's a man who's considered one of our nation's greatest presidents. And yet he actually was one of our most genocidal presidents. This is the challenge. So these massacres that were taking place, these things that were happening throughout this country for over the span of 200 years were not haphazard. They were all tied together with this doctrine of discovery, which gave the not only the legal coverage, but also the theological coverage for the nation to commit these horrible atrocities. And many of you know, just 10 days ago, the Vatican issued a joint statement repudiating the doctrine of discovery. Many natives have been waiting for a long time for this statement to come, for this repudiation to happen. But it was not what most of us had hoped for. The statement given by the Vatican, it was a 9-point statement. Over half of the statements of the 9 that were given in this repudiation were not even talking about the doctrine of discovery or even about the unjust actions taken towards Native Americans. They were points affirming the Catholic Church for how good they were, how righteous they were, and how much they loved and helped and cared for Native peoples. Only 2 of the statements dealt directly with the doctrine of discovery, and even then it blamed the doctrine. It said the Catholic Church never taught this doctrine. It wasn't part of their teaching. This was constructed by colonial and governmental powers. It was a very, very weak political, self-protecting statement. In fact, one of the things I wrote about it after it happened is I said, and I want to read this to you right now, in what could have been a groundbreaking and historical repudiation of the doctrine of discovery, the Vatican instead released a series of 9 political statements that sought to rewrite history, shield the Catholic Church from legal liability, and shift the blame for the doctrine of discovery to governmental and colonial powers. It was a very, very weak repudiation and did not even include an apology for what it had done. One of the things that I want to encourage our Native peoples in is to not affirm the Catholic Church for giving this repudiation, to not give the Catholic Church pardon for what it's been a part of. Not because we're bitter, not because we're angry, but because the Catholic Church represents the Church of Jesus Christ. And it absolutely can and must do better. And because we as Native peoples are not less than or in any way subservient to white Europeans, and we absolutely deserve better. We need to refuse that repudiation out of self-respect for our own families and also for the hundreds of thousands, the millions of people who are destroyed because of this doctrine of discovery. So we need to respectfully decline this repudiation and tell the Catholic Church, you can do better and you must do better. We have too much honor, we have too much respect, we have too much value for our own lives and the lives of our ancestors to allow these incredible injustices to be dismissed with a self-protecting political statement that merely seeks to shift the blame rather than take ownership of the injustices that were committed. Thank you, my brothers and sisters, for letting me share just a brief part of the story of the doctrine of discovery and what some things I think we need to do to move forward so that we can actually create a healthy relationship with our colonizers.
Can you see that again? Okay, she was here.
All right, go for it.
Is she still here?
She's in the car.
I'm Sarah Augustine, and I am of the Tewa people from northern New Mexico, what's now known as northern New Mexico, but I live among the Yakima people on the homeland of the Confederated Bands and Tribes of the Yakima Nation in what's now known as South Central Washington. And so I want to acknowledge the elders and the people who have protected the sacred waters in these lands here, where I'm proud to be a neighbor and a guest these past 20 years. I'm in my car. You can see I'm on my way to Seattle to have chemotherapy. I wanted to be part of this, so I pulled over to stop so I could be part. My treatment is tomorrow, and so that's why you see me in my car. I want to tell you a little bit about the history of my people. We have been under the oppression of colonization since 1540, when the Spaniards came into our territory and homeland and demanded tributes of corn and labor. My people were enslaved to the Spaniards originally, and we have suffered under colonization for more than 480 years. We're a proud people and a strong people, and we have revolted. In fact, we eradicated and ejected the Spanish colonizers in 1680 and held our territory for 12 years. But our lands are unceded, and we now live in a variety of pueblos. But even these reservations that were set aside, the lands of my people, were taken by the federal government by executive order to develop the atom bomb during World War II. It was during that time that my father was removed by the state from the custody of his mother and his people, and removed from his lands and put into a boys' home 300 miles away to grow up away from the traditions of his people and his language and his kin, and to live in a boys' home where he was basically forced to do labor for his keep throughout his life. And as a young man was then forced to choose between joining the military or going into a juvenile prison system, because he graduated from high school early and was not able to stay in the boys' home once he was no longer in high school. And so he went into the military. And as a result of that experience, he developed serious mental health issues and issues of addiction. My story is a story that's common among many families. And so I grew up in a household that was chaotic and violent. And that is the story that I bring today, that is a direct result of child removal. This systemic decision by the national government to remove Indigenous peoples from the homes of their parents and the lands of their people. It's been the most effective way of removing Indigenous peoples from their homes of any other way. There are more Native American children in foster care today than there ever were in boarding schools. In 1975, Congress passed a law called the Indian Child Welfare Act to protect Native American families and Native American children so they could remain on their own lands and among their own kin, even if they weren't going to remain with their parents. And that law has been challenged in court more times than the Affordable Care Act. And in fact, it is under attack right now. The Supreme Court is determining whether or not it is unconstitutional. And that will mean that people like my father, and therefore people like me, are removed indefinitely from their lands. And so the Christian church has primarily been in support of the people who want to strike down the Indian Child Welfare Act. And so I have called on the church over many years to stand with Native American tribes and with Native American children and families in support and upholding the Indian Child Welfare Act. And so that is one thing that I just reach out to all of you today to remember, that our sovereignty as people gives us the right to determine where our children are going to be placed, and that our children have a right to grow up on their own native lands, among their own people and their own kin, with their own culture, in their own languages. And we're waiting now for the decision of the Supreme Court on the Indian Child Welfare Act. So this is a harm that is ongoing. And another thing I want to say is that many peoples have had their lands removed by executive order, exactly like the San Carlos Apache people, who, although their homes and lands were removed, they were removed from those lands by executive order, have chosen to continue to care for Oak Flat, the sacred mountain where they've done ceremony and prayed for all of humanity and all of creation for centuries, for untold generations. And that land is now under attack. It is not owned by the San Carlos Apache. It's owned by the federal government, who has opted to trade it for another parcel of land to Rio Tinto mine, a copper mine, perhaps one of the largest copper deposits in the world. And the plan is to take that sacred place and to make it sunk down into a hole that's 2 miles across and 10 stories deep, completely decimate the sacred place. And this too is in the courts. It's right now in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. We're waiting to hear what will happen. And so while there are many stories about the past, we still remain in the struggle, and a people who are willing to sacrifice for our lands and our sovereignty, and a strong people who are willing to join together and struggle for the rights of us all. Thank you.
All right, Sean, take it away.
Yeah, so thank you for sharing all those stories. So we will put our finger in our cups and drop every drop, or remove every drop for each of the sorrows we remember. Put each drop when you remember, put each drop you remove into your paper napkin, and then the end of this time of removing sorrows, I will gather the napkins and bury them outside of Mother Earth, to do with as she deems best. I will name each sorrow now, and we will take a drop of water out of each one. So the stories of Kisi. So yeah, we'll be able to take each drop for within the water. And then the stories from Preston, within the Tlingit people. And then the stories of the Diné people. And then the stories of the doctrine of discovery, how all this started. And then the stories from Sarah, within her people too. So yeah, so smallpox, blankets, Wounded Knee, Standing Rock, boarding schools, murder and missing Indigenous women and people, burning of crops and livestock, discrimination of buffalo, the bombing of village in Alaska in World War I, over 500 broken treaties, force depletion, removal of self, this determination, corrupt missionaries, so now we can drink the sacred cup to sanctify how we want to welcome people's stories, which will help us enter into the remembering. However, when you share hard things, you can't just leave them hanging. This is why we will gather all of our napkins and take them out to be buried in Mother Earth. So we all drink. Yeah. So we will smudge again with sage to be purified and cleansed from the pain.
Go ahead, Donna.
We put these sorrows into Mother Earth because you can't just leave unresolved. We're asking our good relative to take care of them as she will, asking Creator to help heal us and help bring healing to others. You can't just leave them hanging if you bring them up. And now by your place setting is some cornmeal. And each person can take a pinch of their cornmeal and put it to the 4 directions on your plate while praying silently for people or things on your heart that might have come up as the sorrows were brought up. So we may all sprinkle cornmeal.
He's gonna do a little more.
Now tear a piece of fried bread off about the size of a couple of postage stamps. Take out some green chili and a teaspoon of fruit mush into the fried bread piece. Peaches were chosen because it's one of those elements that were destroyed by the U.S. government. But right now we are putting the green chili and the peaches here together. We're eating green chili to remind us of the suffering Native Americans have endured, while fruit reminds us that joy can be found even in the midst of suffering. Enjoy.
I want 2 scoops of joy.
Should have been hotter.
It was mild.
All right, whenever you're ready, Kelly.
Now we smudge cedar, reminding us of the strength and protection given by Creator, and we internally commit to protecting our heritage and the most vulnerable in our communities.
Go ahead, Sarah.
Everyone can pour themselves an inch of water for their third cup, the cup of solidarity and red dress remembrance. On the chair by Leah, there is a red dress to commemorate the murdered and missing Indigenous women and people. We have a place setting in their memory to remind us to be in solidarity with them. A Native elder said that a community knows itself through its women. We will now have a speaker tell us about murdered and missing Indigenous women and people.
Hey, Jim. Right now, remembering all the women and all the people who have been missing or have been found murdered, and really nothing has been done. There has been no justice for my sisters, for my brothers. So I just like to remember, if you have anyone that you have lost or that you have, you don't know where they're at, or you just know that they're missing, or just anything. We offer up prayers for those that are experiencing that right now, especially those who don't know anything even after many, many, many years. I know a lot of different stories from different people, especially when the community talks about missing and murdered Indigenous women, and just to hear their stories and hold their memory, and then hearing their cries of injustice, and not seeing anything being done with them, but at the same time holding on to hope that there is within the Creator, that they are being taken care of. Because we all know, as Diné people, and as an elder once told me, the Creator of the universe just wants to love us. So remembrance of who the Creator loves, and also it's not just women, it's children too. So just honoring them with just the beautiful things, and honoring that the Creator loves them, and these are the things that we love, and we hold dear to the things that we love: food, people, community, and just how we're all able to share the space together, and also remember the people that we have lost. I'd also like to remember my uncle and a couple of my sisters, and me personally, and cousins. But like I said, we know a lot of people, a lot more people have gone missing. So just prayers up for them, and pray that the Creator protects them and does what He needs to do, do what the Creator needs to do, as well as Creator sets free the Holy Spirit in these times. So I offer that prayer up for the people here and for the people who are gone. And Creator sets free.
Are you there, Katie?
I am. When we drink this third cup and remember murdered and missing Indigenous women and people, we commit to living in solidarity with all our relations and working to create a society where no one is seen as a disposable commodity. You can all drink. As the flute music plays, we will let this sink in and also remember any that we have personally lost.
Kimberly, when you're ready. You're muted.
My relatives. Now everyone can pour the fourth cup, the cup of hope. This cup represents hope for the future and our commitment to walk the beautiful path, to live in a good way. When everyone is ready, we all drink together the cup of hope. Is everyone ready?
to tell us how you discovered this song, Heather and Preston? Fly? How did you?
And she gifted us this song before she left staff with where I met her. So communal workplace, but now understanding that we no longer work for the same things and we're doing our own things, but knowing and honoring and remembering each other and knowing that we have gifted each other with things, and this is one of the gifts that we have gotten and was given by her, and she still gives it to Good Medicine Way. So thank you, Sheely.
Go ahead, Joe.
Hi, my name's Joe. If you don't know me, I am Apache and Pueblo from central New Mexico there, and I live in California in Tongva territory, which is southern Los Angeles. And so I bring something from my garden. I'm happy, maybe not happy, honored to hear our stories again tonight. But our sweetgrass, may it usher in comfort and healing. And I'll just start that for us. So just as much as we remember the tough, we remember the good and the healing that comes from remembering the tough. So these prayers I pray for us as we continue our service.
Marnusen in the house.
Yes, he is.
He's from San Bernardino.
Take it away.
Barstow. Barstow.
Take it away.
You're muted.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I can't hear you.
Here you go ahead.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Everyone can fill their plates now and begin to eat the actual dinner. And people can ask any questions they might have. Then after the meal, we're going to let the youngest ones search for the bread that was broken and hidden away, to signify that we all long to eat the bread of wholeness once again.
Side and then with everyone, you can fill your plates with the actual dinner over there, and then we'll continue with the symbolic stuff after the meal. But now is the time if anyone had any questions, like what on earth did that thing mean? When we do that,
We'll be so slow.
Yeah.
We'll do half and then we'll eat off our plate.
This is a wild rice.
Yes, what was your question out there?
Like a dessert. Yeah.
I don't really have a question, but I was gonna say that Creator made a very beautiful sky tonight here in Oklahoma. It was the clouds were very how do I say it? They were very colorful, and in between them there was like lightning coming through it. So it was really beautiful. If anybody was kind of watching, like if you saw my little thing on there. But yeah, it was a very beautiful sky, and I'm just thankful that Creator made that beautiful sky for us tonight. And yeah, it was really awesome. So yeah, I also made Indian tacos. Yeah. But yeah. Yes, this is Native InterVarsity's Fry Bread Power shirt that I'm wearing. Yeah, so Native InterVarsity. And if you guys seen Smoke Signals, and we're also really lucky to find this little can of chopped green chilies. So it was awesome. Hey, I should have asked some of my New Mexico relatives to send some our way, but it's okay. I should have worn my hair in braids like Thomas, yes.
There's fry bread on the table, but you can eat all the mush and the peaches, green chili. And you can eat the fry bread that's on the serving table.
Yep.
Oh, I see, okay. So how much of the fried bread do you need to save?
We'll save this stuff that's on the table.
Oh, we just go get it from
The
your
stuff
plate,
that's
then is
over
what
on
we're
the
saying.
dinner.
That's Friday.
Okay, so I'll be out there. If you didn't hear that, after the dinner, we still have something to do with fry bread. So if you have a separate fry bread that we've been using for the ceremonial thing, keep that intact and eat your fry bread from your general source of fry bread. If you only have one source of fry bread, just make sure you save some of your fry bread for the end.
I love how Joe is cracking up right now.
And you, if you're not here, you're missing out. We have some homemade tamales. And we had some green chili stew with hominy. And a wild rice dish that I made. It's like a dessert.
Oh.
A little bit of sweetness in it.
It's kind of between the black tea and.
For those urban Indians out there who are looking for a good place to get green chili, I buy mine from a place called Hatch Green Chili Store online. They ship it to you frozen, and it's amazing. So, just for anyone out there wondering how to get the best green chili if you don't live in New Mexico, that's the way to do it.
I just saw that they had powdered green chili the other day.
Trader Joe's
Never
sells
seen-
a green chili powder as well, but this is it. This is where it's at.
Is Jay still there? I waited for you to turn your screen off.
I'm almost still here.
Oh, hey, tell us a joke or a story or something. Or just sit there and look good.
Okay.
Okay. How are you doing?
Doing all right. Good to see you again, Joe.
Yeah, good to see your face.
Yeah. It was a beautiful ceremony. I enjoyed it.
So Dave put in the chat, I think it was Dave, yeah. Yeah, he says, who makes the best fry bread? Who makes the best fry bread? Personally, I think Navajos kind of have everybody else beat. I'm sorry to say that, but here in Oklahoma, people have tried to make some really delicious fry bread. Sometimes they get it, sometimes they don't. But honestly, I'm always missing that Navajo fry bread. So I would say Navajos, sadly. Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I don't know, Arlene was Coeur d'Alene, not Navajo. She could make fry bread that could walk on water, fry bread that raised people from the dead.
I almost felt like, what is it? I almost felt like Arlene ripping that fry bread in half. Just kidding.
Head of the bluebird. That's kind there. Save your bag.
Hey, that's the reason why it's the best, because of the bluebird flour. That's their secret ingredient. Just kidding.
Elsie, did you hear my question earlier about the chili? Is it hot? She's shaking her head no.
As tears are running down her face.
No, it could be hard.
Yeah, that looks good, Mark.
Daddy's giving you tamale. She suddenly saw me and then freaked out.
Let's try to give me some chicken. Did any of your kids like the blue mush, Brian?
Oh, yeah.
They did?
We need the.
Oh.
We love it. I'm not gonna say this, but it's.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. We had sweetener.
Luckily, last time I went to New Mexico, I went and bought a bunch of blue corn mush, so I made it. It's just really sticky.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Maybe give him crumbs. There you go. That's good.
I'm gonna have to take this one home. It's good.
And you guys filled up on mush over there.
Why are you?
You know, that's ceremony food.
For once, I can see myself on the big screen. We call it our Jumbotron. All of you that can't see it, maybe Presley can show you what we're looking at when we see you. There's like 28 of us at one time there.
Yeah, Brian, about 30 feet, 40 feet away from me now.
Wow. That'll be, next year we'll have twice as many tables, bigger Jumbotron. Yeah. And then maybe some of you can visit.
You gotta start saving up now so we can get out there, right? So start saving your money, guys.
And the two, we've got a couple young ones that can search for them.
Well, I think we got it set up there with Kisa and Tadaka. But we'll let people.
Yeah,
be a
they
little
can search
more.
locally. I mean, did you add it, I think?
Oh, just there. They're just gonna do something
Well,
there.
why don't you add one here?
Well, I didn't know we were gonna have, but
Never too late.
I didn't want to.
well,
Yeah, we always like to travel and find
there's kind of a there's kind of a final punchline of. I don't know if I want to do it. Maybe everyone's read.
I participated in the last Wednesdays.
Oh yeah.
I already knew where it was, so I couldn't find it.
You did?
Yes.
I wanted the kite. To find I got a kite this year. Baby Yoda kite.
There's napkins over here. You want to tell the kids what you're going to do?
Well, I don't know if I want them to notice.
Oh, yeah.
Someone else, you want to tell them? Press in the napkin? Distract them? You're like, no, they're already eating food.
Close your eyes. I'm on the East Coast, everybody, and I have to start getting my kids ready for bed. So it's great to see all of you. Bless you.
Yes,
Let me be a part of this and enjoy the rest of your feast.
Yeah, look forward to hearing your next speech that you're working.
Thank you.
Hey, Mark, before you slip off, some people asked if that article that you referenced that you wrote, is that available online anywhere?
I'm going to be publishing it later this week. The one about the Vatican?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to publish it later this week. I'm still editing it right now. I'm actually
Okay.
going to hopefully plan to do a series of 3 or 4 articles over the next month about that repudiation.
All right. Is that going to be on your Wireless Hogan blog or somewhere else?
It'll be on my wire. Well, I'll probably publish it through Native News Online.
Okay.
But I'll share it on my social media. But yeah, I'm hoping to get it published later this week. I'm just doing some final edits on the article. So
look forward to it.
But there's several. I've been interviewed in several pieces online, so there's been several places where both myself and Sarah have been quoted talking about it, along with other people like Stephen Newcomb and a few others. So, but yeah, if you follow me on social media, I'll definitely post it as soon as it's published.
Well, maybe we'll go ahead and be merciful to our East Coast people and resume the ceremonial bit here. And so we're going to let
But you can keep eating if you're in the middle of eating.
Yeah, keep eating, and we're mostly, because the next thing is letting the kids search for the hidden fry bread. So I think Keith has got some hunting there. I don't know if anyone else has hidden any, but I hopefully you guys weren't watching me and I just hid some in the room. So see if you can find the hidden fry bread. I hid some fry bread in white napkins, so I if you can find it.
I just saw her go into the bedroom. Courtney? Courtney, she went in there.
He's looking. They switched it. Courtney, Courtney gave it to Sabine. Sabine went to the kitchen. Courtney went that way.
Now go look for him.
Remember, too busy eating, they didn't notice the switcheroo.
Lisa found the fry bread.
All right, well, okay, so how do I?
You want to give them a clue?
Yeah, some clues.
They're hot, you're hot, you're cold, you're cold.
Okay, so you're slightly getting warmer, but maybe, yeah, you're kind of getting warmer.
Yeah, you gotta find.
Okay, now you're getting slightly.
You know, always help if you find it.
Get back to where you were warmer, and can't get much closer to the wall. You're getting cooler. So go back to where you were warm. Oh, where'd you go? Move a certain direction. Let's see. What was you with the striped shirt? Ezekiel?
Ezekiel.
Ezekiel's a little warmer than you guys are. All right, you're getting a little warmer. Yeah. Got it. Warmer. Oh boy, you're getting really warm. You're almost hot now. You're on the equator. Look at your feet. Okay, and there you go. You found it. All right. Well, Umpedadaka, what's the next thing that happens?
What's the what? Sorry.
Okay, you turn it into me. So Pisa kind of turns it into you, and then what happens?
Oh, do you have something?
Yeah, they turned it into me. So it's actually the other way around. So we'll watch their lead, and then they'll think of if there's any great idea they can do. All right, take it away, Umpedadaka.
Wait, do I read the next part? Sorry.
Yeah.
All right. So the youngest people have searched for the hidden wholeness bread, and it has been found. We have the youngest people search for this to symbolize instilling the ways of our heritage back to the younger generation and seeking out the bread of wholeness that was lost, ripped away from us. Seeking out this hidden away and broken piece of fry bread symbolizes our intention to seek out the beautiful path and live in a good way. The idea is for the taste of this wholeness bread to be the last thing we taste tonight. So we are left with the idea of working to head back to wholeness. We will all share from this piece that was missing, but is now found. So let's go ahead and take a bite, take a bit. Go ahead, baby. You can bite it. The young person who finds it pays the elder money, jewelry, or some nice gift. Gotta give it to mommy. Symbolizing that getting our heritage back, thank you, is like the pearl of great price, worth any price. She gave me an arrowhead and this beautiful little cross that we found. After all have passed around this newly found fry bread and taken this last bite, our remembrance dinner is concluded this year. So thank you for joining us. It looks like we may have one more song to go. So I'll hand that back over to the Grovers, if that's it.
All right, yeah, so the last song we're gonna do to kind of close things out is, kind of our version of Bill Miller's Ghost Dance song. And, an interesting thing about this song, if you've ever heard him do it live, is, he wrote this after visiting some museums and seeing just evidence of a lot of the atrocities that have gone on. And he had a few days off, and so he just decided he was going to write a song about it. And he really thought that he was going to just write a very angry song about all the injustice that had occurred. But when he began writing the song, he said that Creator just kept giving him visions of people being restored and visions of people being healed and being upheld and being empowered, which is really what the spirit of the ghost dance that Wakoba started was really about, that restoration. So Bill thought he was going to write a song being angry about all the injustices, and he ended up writing a song about the restoration through the ghost dance. So that's what we're going to do.
I want to go where the blind can see. I want to go where the lame will walk. I want to see the sick ones clean. The deaf can hear in the silent talk. Said, where are you going? To a ghost dance in the snow. We are I wanna go with
I just wanted to thank everybody for coming tonight. And thank you for sharing a meal together, and for the Grovers and Pastor Casey for allowing each one of us to be a part of this really, really beautiful ceremonial time. And there's just so much to say, and I'm just so glad. And we just wanted to say thank you for everybody coming, sharing the meal and all that good stuff. So yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to do a little leeway.
Juju and Ezekiel.
Yeah, thank you all. Have a good night.
You're welcome to stay and watch us eat more if you want.
It'll be exciting.
I guess we'll stop the live streams, but we'll still hang out for a bit if you would like.
Good night, guys. Zoom.
Well, we got his guitar out for a reason.
Facebook.
Eli got his guitar out.
Eli, he got his guitar out.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Just playing along with you, Brian.
That's probably a challenge with the delays through the internet.
Yeah, I kept myself muted, otherwise it would.